Welcome to RMTC-DHH's series on the high leverage practices for students with disabilities. In this video, we will be discussing the 17th high leverage practice from the CEC and CEEDAR Center's publication, High Leverage Practices in Special Education. This video was made in collaboration with the Florida Inclusion Network, FIN, and Dr. Catalano from Flagler College's Deaf Education Program. HLP 17 states, use flexible grouping. Educators use flexible grouping to differentiate instruction and meet individual needs of students. Hattie's barometer of influence shows differentiation in the zone of desired effects at 0.5. There are many different grouping arrangements that can be incorporated as students work towards a learning target. Some examples include whole group, small group, triads, pairs, and individual study with or without an adult. Different grouping arrangements are used flexibly to accommodate diverse learning needs, foster meaningful academic interaction, and cultivate collaborative skills among students. Groups can be homogeneous, same ability, or heterogeneous, mixed ability. When thinking about flexible grouping for students who are deaf or hard of hearing, DHH, we will look through the lens of the variety of settings they may be in. For the purposes of this video, we will talk about two different settings: separate classrooms specifically for students who are DHH with a full-time teacher of the DHH, and general education classrooms with support from an itinerant or inclusion teacher of the DHH. First, we will discuss the students in a separate class for DHH. You may be thinking, my students are in a separate class. I'm already teaching a small group. But remember, each student is unique. Students who are DHH have varied needs. A study conducted by Dr. Catalano from Flagler College and colleagues showed that the majority of teachers teaching students who are DHH in a separate class setting teach whole group for most of the instructional day. Small group and one-on-one instruction occurred less than 1% of the time. The study implemented flexible grouping arrangements that were teacher managed, for instance, instruction by the teacher via whole group, small group, or one-on-one. The study also used groupings that were child managed, like peer partner work, pairs, or independent study. In the study done by Dr. Catalano et al., the use of a rubric with 6 essential indicators and 6 preferred indicators was used to guide the teachers in using flexible groupings. The essential indicators were required for the use of flexible grouping. The preferred indicators depended on students' age, grade, and teacher preferences. After use of the rubric and implementing the strategies for flexible grouping, there was shown to be an increase in active engagement from the students. With clear procedures and systems in place, students became more autonomous and self-directed at child-managed groupings. Significant changes in classrooms can feel overwhelming for teachers. The indicators for flexible groupings can provide teachers with step-by-step guidance to implement arrangements that promote individualized instruction. Now, thinking about the general education environment, teachers of the deaf and hard of hearing supporting students in this setting also may need to support the general education teacher in making flexible grouping in their classroom to include the students who are DHH. They can also use flexible grouping strategies and collaborative teaching efforts alongside the general education teacher, such as parallel teaching. In this approach, the classroom is divided in two. Each teacher works with a group of students teaching the same concept or skill. The recommended use of this approach is frequently. Station teaching. The class is divided into groups. Each station has differentiated work. The students rotate through each station depending on the amount of time the two teachers set. The recommended use of this approach is also frequently. Alternative teaching. One teacher works with a large class and one teacher works with a flexible small group for remediation, enrichment, or other purposes. The recommended use of this approach is occasionally. Teaming. Two teachers facilitate the lesson, presenting new information to the students. The recommended use of this approach is also occasionally. One teach, one assist. One teacher presents the lesson while one teacher assists students or purposely collects data on skills. The recommended use of this approach is seldom. For more information, check out Finn's Best Practices for Flexible Grouping document and Best Practices for Collaborative Teaching document, and the research paper by Dr. Catalano and colleagues found in the Journal of Deaf Studies and Deaf Education. We will leave you with this point to ponder. How do you use flexible grouping and application of the essential and preferred indicators in your teaching? Come to the TA Live discussion to learn how your colleagues address this question and share your thoughts to collaborate together. Remember to check out additional resources in the Live Binder. You can access the Live Binder on the RMTC-DHH TA Live website or by going to the bit.ly/RMTC-HLP. Can't make it to the discussion session? Or perhaps you're watching a recording of this at a later time. An idea to still work within your district is to visit the Iris Center HLP Interactive Alignment Tool. This tool identifies which Iris resource provides information on each specific HLP. Where can you find information for the Iris Center? If you guessed the Live Binder, you are right. Remember, you can find that at bit.ly/RMTC-HLP. To watch more videos about the HLPs, make sure you check out the TA Live archive in our video library. Until next time, we'll see you around. The Resource Materials and Technologies Center for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing project is 73% funded through a grant from the U.S. Department of Education and administered by the Florida Department of Education. For the 2023 federal fiscal year, the total amount of federal grant funds awarded were $512,357. The remaining 27% of the costs were funded by the Florida General Appropriations Act.